Adequate notice of this March the 12th, 2020 meeting has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by posting written notice in the agenda of the meeting on the bulletin board in this municipal building, 1000 Route 10, Township of Hanover, and by hand delivering, mailing, or faxing such notice and agenda of the following newspapers: Morris County's Daily Record, the Star Ledger, Hanover Eagle, and by filing same with the Township Clerk. We have a roll call, please.
Committeeman Gallagher.
Here.
Committeeman Faramasca.
Here.
Committeeman Mahalka.
Here.
Committeeman Cahill.
Here.
And Mayor Francioli.
Here.
5 members in attendance, sir.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please rise, those that can. Join us in a pledge of allegiance to the flag. Remain standing for prayer. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Almighty God, we ask that you bless this governing body with an abundance of wisdom and understanding, so that every deliberation will result in actions which will promote the common good and the general welfare for all of the people of Hanover Township. Amen.
Thank you. Please be seated. Okay. At this point, all right, ladies and gentlemen, at this point, it's an honor for the Township to announce the administration of the oath of office to a new patrolman, Matthew Garrison. Matthew, you can do swearing in, all right, the administrator, and, okay. Fine. Matthew, who do you have with you? Bring your family.
My parents.
Oh, my God.
I guess I'll take pictures. Where's Jim?
And repeat after me. I, Matthew Garrison,
I, Matthew Garrison,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the state of New Jersey,
and the state of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in the state
and in this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of the office of patrolman
all the duties of the office of
for
patrolman
the Township of Hanover
for the Township of Hanover
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
That's okay. It happens. It happens all the time.
Happens every meeting.
We all want it. Congratulations.
There you go. Very good. Congratulations, very good.
Thank you.
Bet you get some pictures there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very good. Matthew, you're joining a great department.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Very good. Chief, congratulations.
Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, gentlemen, you want to stay with us for the rest of this? God bless you, or what? All right?
I'll get them out.
All right.
Good night.
Good night.
Congratulations.
Wait, is there a party?
That 4-minute rule?
Yeah, because I know we're here.
Is that 32?
That's number 32.
Or 31 or 32? 32.
Now we're back up. And then by the end of this year.
We'll give them a second. Okay.
Ready, Krista?
All right, we're all settled down. All right, gentlemen, before I call to open the meeting, we have a presentation we'd like to do. And then we'll open the meeting to the public right after this. At this time, the Township Committee would like to respond to the current situation that we have here with the novel coronavirus. It's a matter that's been before our Board of Health. It's been a matter before the county, certainly the state and the world. We have prepared, the Township Committee has prepared, along with the Board of Health, the overview with a slide presentation that we're going to do right now, a PowerPoint presentation, to give us all an idea of not only what this virus is all about, but to answer some questions about what your township is doing about it in conjunction with the county, etc. I might make some initial comment here that Morris County does not have any cases as of this point. I think I can say that, Kathy, you would say that.
We have one case,
One case of infection in the town, known?
not in Butler,
No, in Butler, in the county.
in the county, one case.
In the county, all right, so then I can't make that statement then. Okay, that we have. By the way, Kathy Whitehead is joining us. Kathy is the Public Health Nurse Supervisor, and under the Governor's present state of emergency, she becomes the point person in Hanover Township on this matter, along with our Chief of Police and along with our OEM Director, Thomas Quirk. So that's the chain of command on this. We've had several meetings with other townships. Hanover Township participated in that, and along with those meetings, I think both our representatives here representing education might have some comment later in the meeting as to how our schools are doing or what they're doing in regard to this as well. So on that note, let's begin with our very first slide, and that is to try and answer the question of what is this. There are many flus that we've all encountered, and this is somewhat no different. It's a flu-like virus. It is spread by droplets. It is not an airborne virus where you have to be concerned with the air you're breathing in an environment. But if you do come into contact, it's transmitted by sneezing, by coughing, by body fluids, body contact. There's been comment in general to in unfamiliar surroundings to keep 2 to 3 to 4 feet away from individuals, and that's going to be difficult. What are the symptoms of this virus? It's respiratory coughing. It is respiratory virus. Coughing, shortness of breath, fever and or chills. Kathy, if there's anything you want to stop me on and add to, please do. Sneezing and nasal congestion, body-like aches, flu-like aches. It could be a mild form. Some people don't know they even had it, or it could be a very severe form and like. So what do you do to protect yourself in the days ahead now that we know what we do? Stay at home if you're sick. If you're not sure, if you're feeling that feverish, you feel you've got a cold, you feel you've got some symptoms, please stay at home. That's a recommendation from the Board of Health. Limit contact with persons who are sick. I know sometimes we're caring for other people, and we have to be very careful of that as well. Avoid touching your eyes, your nose, and your mouth. Wash your hands. We've seen this on Facebook and the social networks of the cute little cartoons of washing hands. That is so effective, more so, I'm told, than the sanitizers for your hands. So if you wash your hands and count to 20. when you're washing your hands. 20 seconds of hand washing is what's recommended. Avoid handshakes and body contacts. We're all tapping elbows, hitting ankles, etc. Use alcohol-based sanitizers of at least 60% alcohol. A caution here that I personally noticed is that there now is occurring peoples that are mixing up their own disinfectants or their sanitizers by using straight alcohol with some other areas. If it's over 60% alcohol, you are risking burning flesh, burning your skin. So you have to be very careful of that as well. Avoid handshakes, try the elbow bumping is what we just said. Please cover your coughs and your sneezes. Clean and disinfect surfaces. And if you haven't gotten the flu shot, believe it or not, still get your flu shot. It can only, I would assume, help to lessen the symptoms of the virus itself. And again, these are all recommendations that are coming right from your Board of Health, Dr. Perez, Dr. Zaborowski, Dr. Van Orden, etc. Testing. We all are concerned to find out what if we do or don't have this infection. If you feel you may be infected, do not walk into your doctor's office or a medical facility and say, I think I'm infected. That will initiate a lot of reactions that in order to protect that environment, okay, a medical office or whatever. Call. I'm going to give some numbers later in this. I'm going to have telephone numbers. I'm going to have web addresses, etc. And I think we'll recommend to the administrator that portions of this might be printed into some sort of a flyer that can be distributed. In fact, we have some flyers, I think, that came out of the Board of Health. Avoid walking into your physician or medical offices. Contact them ahead of time for instructions. You will, if you need to be tested, if you feel you have to be tested, and you've talked to a medical professional, you will get a script. And that script will tell you where to go for testing, and I'm sure it'll probably be in some sort of protected environment, Kathy, if they had to go in, from that. Summit Medical Group has put up a hotline. Those are the those are telephone numbers there for them, 908-273-4200. As well, the New Jersey Division of Health has a hotline number, 900-233-1222. You have questions, concerns, symptoms, etc., please use those phone numbers. Okay, what current information we do have? These are the websites and communications accesses that you can employ. Hanover Township website, of course, and Hanover Township website is linked to our Board of Health website as well. We will keep it current. The township will be putting up information that we get from the county or the state under their direction. We are also recommending, if you want to stay in touch with the CDC website, there's the address for there, cdc.gov. Coronavirus 219 is set. Again, I don't expect you to write these down as quickly as we're going through this, so we'll have these available for you. If need be, and you have not signed up for rave alerts, please do. We will use rave alerts in matters where we have to. How do you get to rave alerts? You go to the Hanover Township website. There's a link, Mr. Administrator,
Yes, that's correct.
from that website onto rave alerts.
Follow the directions.
Follow the directions there. You can sign up for portions of the alerts or information that specific that it'll give you a selection of information that you can sign up for on the alerts. Highly recommend you do that so we can keep in touch with you. New Jersey Department of Health, there's that website for you. New Jersey Department of Health also has hotline numbers, 800-222-1222. And the New Jersey Department of Health has a coronavirus hotline. That's at 888-364-3065. Okay. And finally, as we're coming down here, the schools, businesses, and first responders, they each have their own protocols that they're following, and they are into the now. You have probably heard in the community that certain of our corporations have already closed for certain periods of times. They have closed for sanitizing purposes. The community should not be alarmed by the closings. That is a preventative process of sanitizing the area. They've elected to do that. Some may elected to do that because some of their employees they feel may or may not have come in contact with an infected individual or not. Some are doing it just on a voluntary basis as a point of safety. There are protocols in place for our student population. We will answer that in a moment. And our first responders certainly have a protocol for arriving. If you are ill and you call for police assistance or first aid assistance, you tell them what your issue is. They will arrive. They will not enter your home until they get enough information from you to determine the type of response that's going to be needed by them. Okay, we want to protect not only you, we want to protect the first responders. Kathy, is there anything I can add to? You can add to that?
No, I think you're covering it. I will add that Atlantic Health also has a hotline.
Very good. Can you use a microphone, please?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I will add that Atlantic Health has a hotline as well, and we'll get that number out as well.
I might have put it up earlier.
Okay.
It might still be, but yes, we should provide that. They're local, and you can call them. They'll probably assist you with any symptoms.
And I can add some information. Atlantic Health is, we're having a little snafu with people being able to be tested. So we are trying not to clog up the emergency departments with people who are not sick enough that need to really be hospitalized. Atlantic Health is working with their urgent cares that they have, and they're going to set up with 3 of their urgent cares so that they'll have a special part of their urgent care that will be able to do testing, and it'll be separated from the rest of their urgent care so that it won't affect the regular part of their business. Also, Atlantic has an outside part now for triaging people.
So that's the point we want to make, is that if you call into this hotline, you will be given directions and instructions as to where to be, how to show up, and how you will be treated, because you will not be treated with the general population.
Right.
You know, that's concerned there. Okay.
And if you're well,
Yeah.
so if you're well, but you think that you've come in contact with somebody, you will not get tested. Your insurance won't pay for you to be tested. There's no reason for you to be tested. It won't get you off the hook from having to be self-quarantined. So just so that is clear. If you're asked to be self-quarantined, then you have to self-quarantine for 14 days.
Now, the schools have their own protocol, so on that note, I'm going to stop here for a second. Ace, do you want to comment on the schools, or you and Brian have any comment from the school standpoint? I know the latest email that came out from the schools did show some closing for sanitizing, but you want to...
Right, I'll just talk about the high school for a second. And Brian and I share, we're liaisons together to the K through 8 and the high school, but they did send out a memo today, a different one this morning and one this afternoon, that they will be closing. Tomorrow's a snow day, and it'll be closed until March 27th. There haven't been any cases reported in our student body as of right now, but they're doing this to be preventative care. That's it. And, we've all been in touch with each other. We're all concerned. We're trying to separate the facts from the hysteria, and everybody's doing a very good job. Brian, you have anything about the K through 8 schools?
No, I think the K through 8 are following the same protocol.
Yeah.
March 27th, they'll look at it again at the end of March 27th. But it's going to be virtual schooling. So they're setting up the kids to get homeschooled, if you will.
And when I found out about it today, my daughter texted me a thumbs up. A minute later, I got the email. I think they think it's going to be a good time, but it's probably harder to sit in front of a computer for all of those hours, to be honest with you. But that's it, Ron.
No, very good.
I think they got a lot of pressure, honestly, if I can be honest. They got a lot of pressure from the parents. I think there was a lot of false information from kids I don't think kids understood what they were saying to each other. You know, one kid would say, "Oh, my mom's home with the coronavirus." And then another parent heard, "Sally's mom's home with the coronavirus. What is wrong with you school people? Why aren't you closing?" And no matter how much we tried to say that there are no cases in Morris County, nobody really believed that we were being honest.
The message there is clear. Don't let social networks guide you on these
Right,
these
and,
decisions.
you know-
Use the proper websites, the official websites, the government websites. You'll get county information, you'll get a constant flow of information from us on our website. Please use official sites. If you go on social networks, you're going to get every kind of scenario going. Main thing is that our community, again, you just explained to us that you had one incident in the county, but main thing is for our county, keep calm, and we'll address this day by day. You know? So, any other? Now I'm gonna open for some. Oh, John. Okay. Otherwise, I'm gonna
There's a
open some questions.
major community event has been canceled, so those
Oh, yeah.
not aware, the St. Patrick's Day Parade in Morristown this Saturday has been canceled. And locally, within Hanover Township, the Knights of Columbus has a celebratory gathering, and that party was scheduled to be on March 21st at Our Lady of Mercy Gym. That's been canceled as well. Okay, so it's out of an abundance of caution and care for the community.
Yes, and I spoke to Melissa over at Notre Dame, and we've decided to cancel the senior luncheon as well.
Excellent.
And I think you're all aware that Denise and I worked very hard today with Mr. Quirk, and we've canceled many of the activities.
The seniors' luncheons are canceled.
And the
as
senior
well.
meeting
Yeah.
until further notice, and some of the senior trips we canceled, so.
Many meetings are being canceled, the business meetings, et cetera. Most of our corporations are taking caution. Some corporations are dividing their staff into two different sites in case one becomes infected. Many different approaches to this. But again, preventative, the objective here is to contain this issue. We don't have a vaccine yet. We don't have a cure for this at this point. So the best preventative right now is containment. So that's real. If there's...
I just wanted to point out one thing. I think it's really important for everybody to understand that for us, people who are 65 years and younger, we feel very few symptoms. We maybe feel a cold, we may actually attribute it to something like seasonal allergies. That's where the problem is, and that's where the news is trying to educate everyone that when you go see your parent or your loved one or go visit at the nursing home, you really need to limit, even if you feel well, limit your touching, limit your hugging, limit your kissing, because you still could be carrying the virus and not even know it. And that's what they're trying to educate everybody in knowing. And in the county, you'll notice if you have any family members who live in any of the long-term care facilities, you'll see that a lot of the facilities have now started with no visitation. Morristown Medical Center has absolutely no visitation. So.
While we have Kathy here, if there's any questions from the audience at this time, I'm sure she'll be happy to answer them if she can. Gary?
Step to the microphone, please. Name and address for the record.
16 Lynn Terrace, Whitby, New Jersey. One question.
Yes.
How are you? The schools, public buildings. Do you know if they're changing filters and making sure their outside dampers are working properly so they get the proper airflow in the schools? Because if the dampers aren't working, they're not getting fresh air. You need anywhere between 8 to 14% opening of the dampers to get fresh air, and it should be, the air exchange should be 5 times an hour. Do you know if the schools are doing that?
I have no idea.
I was just curious. I asked my daughter, she didn't know either.
You asked who?
My daughter, if they were doing that in the schools while they're closed, make sure all the dampers and everything are working properly.
Well, I know that the teachers, I believe that the teachers are going to be in the building tomorrow, so you could probably call over there. Right, they're going to be there tomorrow working on their long-distance learning, right? I thought that, I remember that.
Teachers are going to be required to be in the building during this emergency, yeah.
No, they're home.
Teacher staff.
Teachers are out, they're teaching from home.
Well, tomorrow they have an
No,
in-house
they'll
day
be-
for training, and then you're right, Gary, after that, they'll be working.
Oh, yes, you would know about the maintenance of the schools if they're doing that.
I don't know about the events
About
this
the
year.
events or heating, air exchange?
No.
I'm just curious, thank you.
Okay, any other questions at this time?
Let me just, so we don't have to beat this up
Michael,
again
go
later, part of my rec report, because you were in touch with Mrs. Brennan, we, just for precautionary, there's obviously been a lot of suspensions, things postponed. Trying not to cancel anything, but mostly we're going to put it off in the short run until we get the okay. But that extends to pretty much anything, adult basketball, Hanover Strength, the soccer, girls lacrosse, most of the stuff that's going to be inside in gyms or inside has been suspended. There are so many here that Bake Up's a Fun, Afternoon Body Blast, chair yoga, karate, line dancing, senior circuit, all of this stuff that's been inside is now suspended. What has not been yet is the outside stuff that we're going to be starting soon. And again, it's going to be a day by day, see how this goes.
Yeah, because Denise and I felt like it's out, first of all, we don't have anything in our area.
Right.
And it's outside. And it's still cool out. And we just felt like,
Yeah.
this air isn't stagnant, it's outside, there's still a lot of protection, and
Yeah.
we just felt like it was okay to keep doing that.
And those are typically smaller groups. If you're talking a team, it's, 10 or 20 at most.
And I know that other towns have canceled the Little League Parade, but we decided not to officially, I think that Denise might have mentioned to you,
Yeah.
but we kind of just set that on the table on the side.
Right.
That's a few weeks away.
Yeah.
I would rather, let's
See how it
just
comes-
see
see
what
how
the
it
next
comes
week
together.
or two does.
Yeah, so as of now, again, baseball, soccer, girls lacrosse, that type of stuff is still on and going. With the coach, I know we have soccer on Sunday, so we're still going ahead again with the outside stuff. So it's not, it's precautionary, and it's really the inside stuff that's been focused on.
And
So,
I'm the one who's going to know when there's activity in the community, and if I need to get a hold of you, I will get a hold of you.
yeah.
So we're a big family and we're not a big family. So I want you to know that if there's something going on and you need to know, you'll know.
Right.
I mean, that was my message to when I spoke to the police and the fire, because we're working really hard to really limit the number of first responders who go to homes, because we don't have a big workforce, so I don't need to all of a sudden quarantine a bunch of our workforce, so.
Yeah.
Very good. Go ahead.
And Kathy, you'll continue to provide us with information, timely information that will get
Absolutely.
posted on the municipal website.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
for being out in front of this and keeping us well-informed.
My pleasure, my
We
pleasure.
have some literature here from the Board of Health on the virus. I have a few sheets of each, if anyone would like to have them, happy to distribute it. But Joe, are these up on our website as well? Okay, once again, if you need to review any of this literature, go to www.hanovertownship.com, and is it linked to the Board of Health? Yeah.
Yeah, we have all the
Yeah.
links.
Yeah. Mayor, I just want to add something to the committee. We were so fortunate to have Dr. Perez as our health officer. I can't even begin to tell you what an awesome person he is to work with. And he has noticed we have a tremendous deficit with the way things were restructured, and we have a very difficult time reaching an epidemiologist when we need to. And so he worked with the freeholders and was able to get money from the freeholders for us to hire our own Morris County epidemiologist. And they have expedited that request, and even though he hasn't been able to hire somebody, we have subcontracted somebody for now during this emergency. And it's things like that which are just really awesome, because this is an emergency, and sometimes you need to speak to someone, and really, it has been very trying and frustrating and difficult. So I just wanted to share with you what good decisions have been made as far as the health department.
He has been, along with Dr. Zaborowski, and certainly we brought back Dr. Van Orden, and so we're very confident that, in yourself, that
Thank
we have
you.
an excellent team on this with our Board of Health. We're very comfortable in that, so thank you for being with us tonight and sharing in this as well.
Thank you.
If there are no further questions from Kathy, I'll let her go. Okay, Kathy, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, at this time, and before we do, we're going to open, and on that note, once again, just a reminder here, all speakers will be allotted a 4-minute time, making a statement either at the public portion at the beginning of the meeting or at the end of the meeting. We'll open a second time. Speakers will only be given one opportunity to address the Township Committee. If you have a specific question, it may not be answered during the meeting. Occasionally, questions require research. If that's the case, somebody will get back to you. Okay, the chair will recognize you from the podium with your name and address for the record. So on that note, motion to open the floor to the public.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the floor is open. Anyone who would like to address the Township Committee at this time can do so from the podium, giving us your name and address for the record.
Mr. Mayor.
Would you bring your shopping with you, Barry? What the-
Gary Kider, 16 Lynn Terrace, Whippany, New Jersey.
What is that,
How's
toilet?
everybody
Is
doing this
it
evening?
toilet paper, or what did you pick up?
Single ply, $5 a roll, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, nothing like price gouging, I say. All right,
As you're aware, Mr. Harrington and myself had 50 years of service to Cedar Knolls Firehouse. There was a dinner in East Hanover, the Hanover Manor, December 6th. And I haven't had the opportunity, but I would like to thank the Township Committee for the proclamation that they presented myself and Mr. Harrington on it's called the Hanover Town Distinguished Community Service Award. So I wanted to thank each and every one of you for having the mayor present this to myself and Tommy Harrington.
Thank you.
well deserved.
On the other thing on that is the fire department, real quick, did present myself and Mr. Harrington again a helmet.
Oh, that's
that
a beauty.
says Cedar Knolls 50 years Kaiser. His says Harrington though.
Very nice.
And my son, knowing, being in the fire service, how many times I wasn't home for dinner, how many times I wasn't at Little League, how many times I missed things, home family life, and doing our duties for the fire department. And he reached out to Mikey Sherrill from Congress, who did give us a great proclamation also for our time.
Very well deserved.
Very nice.
And the New Jersey State Firemen's Association did give us a proclamation, which Sean Waldron worked on that for myself and Tommy. And your favorite friend, Mr. Mayor Robert Menendez, gave us a proclamation, and Dick Cody gave us a proclamation. So my son did a very good job getting that for us. The only ones that didn't give us anything was the Board of Fire Commissioners, Hanover Township Fire District 3, which was, and we still haven't heard anything from them. They said it was a mistake, but that's how much they think of their volunteers, I think. But thank you for your time.
Thank you,
Thank you
Gary,
for your
really.
time.
Well deserved, well deserved.
Thank you.
I mean, 50 years of service is exceptional.
It is, like I said, family life was
Exceptional.
interrupted, and a lot
Some
of
people don't
volunteers-
realize what that means, yeah.
Active. Everybody
Yeah.
says I'm a member, I did this, I did that, but we're still active.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Very good. Floor remains open.
Oh, I thought they wanted it back, but that's
Leave the hat, Gary. Gary, leave the hat. The floor remains open. Seeing none? Hearing none? Motion to close?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, gentlemen, Mr. Administrator.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. We have the first item on the formal agenda, or not the first item, the seventh item is the approval of the Township Committee minutes from the February 13th meeting. May we have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Have a motion by Mr. Gallagher, seconded by Mr. Cahill. All in favor?
Aye.
So approved. We have one letter of retirement to read into the record, and it is from Mark Spatola, and it says, "Dear Joseph, this letter is my official notification to you in the Township of Hanover that my retirement date will be June the 1st, 2020. The official retirement date is approved by the state of New Jersey. I am excited about my impending retirement, but wanted to take this opportunity to thank you for all of the opportunities that I have experienced working for the Township of Hanover over the past 25 years. Please let me know what I can do to help you make a smooth transition of my work to another employee. Again, I have truly enjoyed working at the Township of Hanover. I wish you nothing but the best for the future. Please feel free to contact me if you need additional information. Sincerely, Mark Spatola." And on that note, we do wish Mark well. He's been a fantastic supervisor of buildings and grounds, and he will be sorely missed. And on that note also, may we have a motion
You need a
to
motion.
accept
Yeah.
the
You want to
letter of
offer that
retirement?
motion?
So moved.
Ace?
Motion by Mr. Gallagher,
Second?
second by Mr. Francioli. All in favor?
Aye.
So accepted and approved. Next item, ladies and gentlemen, we have the introduction of the 2020 current fund budget. And the total general appropriations, $28,289,709.05. The amount to be raised by taxes for support of the municipal budget, $17,513,229.40. Now, at this time, we're docketing the public hearing and the adoption of the budget for the April 9th meeting at 8 p.m. here in the main meeting room. And at that time, any person wishing to be heard concerning any item in the budget will be given the opportunity to be heard. But I will want to caution everyone that the budget is subject to the approval of the State of New Jersey, the Department of Community Affairs. So we may not have approval for the April 9th meeting, but we will certainly open the public hearing to hear any comments, and then probably continue the public hearing until such time as we receive permission to adopt the budget. We'll also state for the record that the township's financial statement was submitted by the Chief Municipal Finance Officer and accepted as filed with the Division of Local Government Services. We'll also note that a synopsis of the budget will be printed in the Daily Record in accordance with law for the benefit of the public, and copies of the budget are available for public inspection in the office of the Chief Municipal Finance Officer. So without further ado, may we have a motion to introduce the 2020 current fund budget?
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Francioli, seconded by Mr. Faramasca. On roll call for the introduction of the budget, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Faramasca.
Aye.
Mr. Mahalko.
Yes.
Mr. Cahill.
Yes.
And Mr. Francioli.
Thank you.
So
Carol, if I could
introduced.
ask the financial officer, if he
Sure.
would, to clarify just one point, and that is the percentage that we're adding to the budget for, and that we publicize for the purposes of banking, so that the budget can be expanded if necessary.
The ordinance
You want
that's
to explain?
getting adopted tonight is simply being adopted for the purpose of banking. The state has issued that the cost of living has gone up 2.5%. If you don't go up to the full 3.5%, you're no longer allowed to bank. We use that in cases of emergency. Last year, we were under budget, under the 2% cap,
Yes.
but because of the cap law, we utilized banking to stay under the cap levy. So if you don't go up to the 3.5%, even though we're at 1.75 now, they would not allow us to bank future years, any excess fundings that we have.
Thank you.
But we're only going up 1.7, I believe it's a little under 1.75%.
1.74.
Actually, 1.7, we were still at 1.8, but we're just under that, yeah.
Yes,
We're effectively 50% of the bank allotted budget.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sylvia.
Once again, public hearing will be on the 9th of April at 8 PM here in the main meeting room, and possibly that evening, the Township Committee may be able to adopt, but we still don't know at this point.
We have to put our budget in through what they call the FAST system. The state has just enacted. And anytime a government agency comes up with a system called FAST, it's far from it.
It's not fast. Okay, thank you, Silvio. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, next portion of business, we have quite a number of ordinances for public hearing. All of those ordinances appeared in full in the February 19th issue of the Daily Record. And if you look at your agenda, starting on page 1, starting with ordinance 2-2020, and then up onto page 3 to ordinance number 11-2020. We'll note for the record that ordinance number 7-2020 and 8-2020 are both land use and development legislation ordinances. Both those ordinances were sent to the planning board for referral and review as required by the municipal land use law. And we do have letters from the planning board recommending that both ordinances 7 and 8 be adopted this evening by the governing body. We'll also note for the record that both those ordinances were filed with the Morris County Planning and Development as, again, required by the state. So at this time, with regard to ordinances 2 through 11, may we have a motion to convene the public hearings so that anyone may speak on any of the ordinances?
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Mr. Farrell-Mosca, seconded by Mr. Gallagher. On roll call to open the public hearings on those ordinances. Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Farrell-Mosca.
Aye.
Mr. Mahalko.
Yes.
Mr. Cahill.
Yes.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
Is there anyone in chambers wishing to step forward and be heard on any of those ordinances which appear on page 1 through page 3? No, that's on introduction. That's on introduction. That's ordinance numbers 2 through 11 on pages 1 through 3.
Motion to close.
Okay, hearing none, seeing none, we have a motion by Mr. Francioli to close the public hearing, second by Mr. Farrell-Mosca. On roll call to close the public hearings on those ordinances which are listed. On roll call, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Farrell-Mosca.
Aye.
Mr. Mahalko.
Yes.
Mr. Cahill.
Yes.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
Now, as a consent agenda on adoption, for the adoption of ordinances 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. May we have a motion for adoption?
So moved?
So moved by Mr. Gallagher, seconded by Mr. Cahill. Roll call for adoption of the ordinances as a consent agenda. Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Farrell-Mosca.
Aye.
Mr. Mahalko.
Yes.
Mr. Cahill.
Yes.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye. I'm just reviewing one resolution. No, aye. Yeah.
Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you turn to the bottom of page 3 and the top of page 4, we have 2 ordinances for introduction. They are docketed as ordinance 12-2020, which pertain to additional fees for the Recreation and Park Administration Department, and ordinance 13-2020, which is a renewal of a lease agreement with the Hanover Township Board of Education for the leasing of the athletic field located behind Allegro School. And that's a 5-year term, and there is a provision for 2 5-year renewals. Both those ordinances will be docketed for public hearing and final passage at the April 9th Township Committee meeting at 8 p.m. And both the ordinances and the notices of introduction will appear in full in the March 18th issue of the Daily Record in accordance with law. So at this time, may we have a motion on the introduction of ordinance number 12 and 13 as they appear on your agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Mahalko.
Second?
Second by Mr. Gallagher. On roll call for introduction. Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Ferramaska.
Aye.
Mr. Mahalko.
Yes.
Mr. Cahill.
Yes.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
So introduced. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have resolutions as a consent agenda, A through K, and we have one additional resolution that was discussed during the open public portion of the conference work session. It's a resolution which was drawn by the Township Attorney, Mr. Fred Samrow, and this is a resolution by the Township Committee of the Township of Hanover to authorize payment of reoccurring expenditures by the Township's business administrator in the event of the cancellation of a regularly scheduled meeting in 2020, and that, of course, unfortunately, if that should happen because of COVID-19, but that's a precautionary measure only, and only to be invoked in case of an emergent situation. So that will be docketed as Resolution L, which does not appear on your agenda. Are there any questions or comments from the Township Committee concerning any of the resolutions as a consent agenda?
Just on F, Joe, just so that everyone's aware on F, which is endorsing and supporting the state's reconstruction of a portion of Route 10 West between the on-ramp to Route 287 North to a point of the southerly direction, Route 10 West as well. That's going to be nighttime construction. So we're trying to work closely with the state to avoid problems, but that's going to happen, and that should be taking place, I believe, soon, within the month of April.
Any other comments or questions from members of the governing body? Okay, seeing none, hearing none, may we have the approval of the consent agenda for resolutions starting on page 4, A through L, L being the resolution that I just read into the record by title on the authorization for the business administrator to exercise authority in case we have to pay our bills for cancellation of a meeting.
The records show that I will abstain from voting on E.
I'll move the consent agenda.
Okay, we have a motion to move the consent agenda by Mr. Ferramaska, and seconded by Mr. Gallagher. And Ron, Mayor, you're abstaining on resolution E? Okay. Resolution E?
Yeah, that's correct.
Any other comments from the Township Attorney?
How do you know? Mr. Giorgio, I know every year you've worked really hard with the fireworks contracts, but I wanted to ask you if we could add a provision that in the event we still have a state of emergency, the township would have the right to cancel and be entitled to, no penalty, that's all. Because I know how hard you've tried to maintain that relationship, so I wanted to ask for that to be included.
Yeah, we can get in touch with Garden State and review that provision with them. Hopefully that doesn't happen.
Definitely, without a doubt.
Okay, once again, on the resolutions and consent agenda, we'll note that the mayor is abstaining on item E. Item E, and we have a motion for approval by Mr. Ferramaska, seconded by Mr. Gallagher. So now on roll call for approval, and again with the mayor abstaining on E. On roll call, Mr. Gallagher?
Aye.
Mr. Ferramaska?
Aye.
Mr. Mahalko?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli?
Aye.
Aye, with the exception
Oh,
of
E.
E, on abstention on E.
Yeah.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now we continue with payment of bills. That's important. $4,918,989.91. And Mr. Silvio Esposito and I want to make sure we don't go have a problem with our creditors, and we have to pay our bills.
Not a bad idea.
Motion to pay those bills.
Second. Pay those bills. We have a motion by Mr. Faramusca, seconded by Mr. Cahill. On roll call, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Faramusca.
Aye.
Mr. Mahalko.
Yes.
Mr. Cahill.
Yes.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
Approved. And now raffle applications. We have many raffle and bingo applications. Any questions on all the raffle applications?
Motion to approve?
We have a motion by Mr. Francioli. Second. Second by Mr. Mahalko. On roll call, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Faramusca.
Aye.
Mr. Mahalko.
Yes.
Mr. Cahill.
Yes.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
So approved. Mr. Chairman, members of the Township Committee, a parched Township Administrator, thanks you, and I pass the baton.
Give me all those resolutions for signature.
Yes, sir.
Give me those. Okay, gentlemen, at this time, once again, for the public, I'd like to open the meeting. So motion to open?
So moved.
Moved and seconded,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, once again, the floor is open, addressing the Township Committee from the podium for the record, giving us your name and address.
Jerry Kaiser, 16 Lynn Terrace, Township of Hanover. Gentlemen, I had the honor to have in my possession, I let the mayor look at it, eventually I'm going to turn it over to the township, some planning board books from 1953, 1954, and 1957. It's amazing, the gentlemen back then, how they developed the land and the throughways for traffic congestion back then. Route 24 was planned back in 1950, the way we see it today. Do you see that, Mayor?
I did.
And went to Mendham. And how long ago did the state decide we don't need that road anymore? And they ended it at 287. It's amazing. They had the populations from all the municipalities in the county, miners. We had 22 miners in Hanover Township. It's a very interesting book. And I'm working on a project now. Once I'm done with that project, I'll be happy to give it to the mayor and council to review it. It's very interesting what the minds set back then to the minds we have today is phenomenal. We can thank our politicians in the state. Because every time we come to a meeting, planning board meeting, or congestion, it was amazing what they planned.
And you know what's further amazing, Gary? How thin it was.
Yeah, it was, yeah, right, was it 30-some-odd pages?
I mean, the
It was
current
whole
land
county.
use document.
Subdivisions and industry, and
and
so
Yeah.
I have paperwork home, I'm debating whether to give it to the Water Authority, the original pipelines, when they decided to create the water in Hanover Township. So, I might do that to you, Mayor, also on that. It's interesting. I would like to give it to Sal, he's still on the board, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I hate to see any of that stuff get lost.
That document, I know when we talked, you said you had several documents that date back to that point. That was your dad. I'm wondering at some point if we could share that with the Landmark Commission, and if...
No, then they get all the credit.
Yeah.
Every time they do something, you see a plaque by the Landmark Commission.
That'd be
But-
great.
Yeah, sure. It's township, I think everyone would join in the future also, on the history of the town, the firehouse and the districts and the EMS, and the police department.
A lot of vision back then.
Thank you.
A lot of vision.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thanks,
I will
Gary.
get that back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Floor remains open.
Hello, Terry Baird, 180 Parsippany Road, in the Whippany section of Hanover. I have a question for advice, possibly from Mr. Giorgio, because he's probably experienced some things in the past, in reference to the post office.
The
Today-
Whippany Post Office, Terry? The
Today,
Whippany-
I chased after the post office for several hours because I had a delivery, and the delivery was to be held at the post office for me to pick up. I had live animals to be picked up. They arrived at the post office at, I think, like 8:30, and by 9:30, they were on the truck where they weren't supposed to be, and when I called the post office, they told me that I should try to find the route and find the postal truck that was supposed to be delivering to my house, which,
Amazing.
dummy as I was, I went out and looked for
That's
the
amazing.
postal truck, but I didn't find it. So then I called back and I said, is there anything you can do? And so they said that they would try to get the box, and I didn't hear from them again. So then I called them back again early this afternoon and found out that, yes, they did get the box, but they still didn't call me. And it says right on the packaging, right under my name, hold at post office, call, and my cell phone number is right there. So I really want to know, I'm kind of complaining to you because I know you always hear this, but who's the best person to complain to? Because we still have people in town that are getting certified mail that's not being signed for repeatedly. You know, this stuff is just left like any other mail. I mean, so...
We've called in both postmasters, Morristown and Morris Plains, and at one meeting, as going back to a meeting called by Congressman Frelinghuysen, we had Postmaster General for the region meet with us as well. And we had other similar complaints, not this kind of a complaint.
I couldn't even complain at the post office. They were so nasty to me. She says, well, you can leave now, when I went to pick up the package. So, and I was like, I was going to come back at her, and I said, I'll take the high road. I don't want to go out with the police department. I said, I'll take my animals with me, and I will go. But, like, you know, I didn't know what to do. Like, you can't complain to them. You can't, it's hard to even get, to call them, to even get through to them. They don't even answer the phone.
I'm astounding that they wanted a postal patron to locate their package on their own. Is that kind of what they left you?
Yeah, they told me that I should be able to find her on her route.
Can you give the administrator at some point some specifics about this? And then I will tell you, we will definitely follow through.
Well, we'll follow through, but I have to be honest with you, in all my years in trying to solve the problems with the post office.
Awful.
I have one contact down in Edison, he's a very nice man, very professional, but even though he may try to resolve the issue, it just reverts back to the way it was, that it's like there is complete complacency in the U.S. Postal Service about customer service and dealing with the public. So when I hear this, not on a daily basis, but from time to time, and it's very frustrating because nothing gets resolved. So I don't have much hope for this case. I'll try to do my best. And as I said, I have that one contact down in Edison. I hope he's still there because he's very good. But we tried, the mayor's tried, and even Congressman Frelinghuysen a number of years ago, I think, felt frustrated that he was a congressman, and he had difficulty dealing with the U.S. Postal Service.
Right, I just didn't know if there was like another level that I could complain at, because
There
obviously
is.
complaining there, it goes nowhere.
Terry, there is another level, and as I said, this one person is very professional. His name is Schultz, and he's been very cooperative with me, but it seems after it gets to that point, and it goes down to the local level, and there's been a lot of change on the local level. They keep changing these postmasters, so one doesn't know what the other's doing. There's no consistency, and there's no reliable service there.
Right, right.
Because they don't care, I have to say it.
But even the certified mail, I mean, the certified mail, people don't sign for. They just leave it in people's mailboxes.
There's a lot of complacency, it's unfortunate.
I mean, how does that deal with, like, when you have legal issues? You know, like, you know, people are getting certified mail either from an attorney's office or from the court, you know?
Yeah, and you've had that experience already.
Well, and again, it's still happening in my neighborhood, but with different people. I haven't gotten anything from the court or a lawyer lately, so. But my neighbors have, and it's just dropped right there.
Shoot me an email, and I'll see what I can do. I don't want to guarantee anything. I never guarantee anything, because I don't know what I'm going to
And I feel bad bringing it up, because I know you're busy with a whole bunch of other stuff, but I'm like,
I'll try.
I want to order more live animals. I don't want them frying in the back of the truck, you know, or freezing, you know.
I was
like
going to ask
whatever.
that, how are the animals? when you received them?
They were okay. They were okay.
What are they?
They were worms.
They're what?
Worms.
Worms.
Worms, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bloodworm for soil, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, very good.
yeah, my red wrigglers. But
Okay.
I want to order chicks, so like, you know. I don't. What do you mean?
Come on, one conversation. This way.
I can have chickens.
This way.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you very much.
Okay, floor remains open.
Doug Eman, 48 Washington Ave, Whippany. One quick question, and I'll try to word it because I know the budget meeting's April 9th. So I'll try to relate my question to the coronavirus and the hospitality industry. I believe last year we received almost $1 million in revenue related to the motel occupancy tax that we received from the hotels in town. With the hospitality industry being hard hit, and the sound of it, the budget being already on the verge of submitted on the FAST system, which is kind of comical, called that. But do you anticipate having to make changes before the submission, because that is a revenue line item on the budget? The alternate option being either two options, reduction in expense or increase in taxes to offset any loss of revenue related to that hotel occupancy tax.
I think Silvio can speak to this, but this is the room tax, and I don't think it's
3%.
related, I don't think it's related in any way to the realty, but...
It's 3% of the occupancy, so like if you stay at a hotel and you see all those funky taxes at the bottom of your hotel bill, this is one of them.
Close to, like you said, $1 million. We only budgeted 800,000 this year, so we're 200,000 less than we budgeted last year.
Okay. So
Hopefully
left a little contingency in there. Okay. All right. Yeah. Just know the hospitality industry working in it. It's pretty hard hit right now. So just something you may want to start to look at and make some contingency plans for.
What's the word concerning this virus where hotels are involved? Closures? None? Just sanitizing?
I can't disclose any non-public information from my personal company where I work at, but yeah, from past earnings calls, there have been closures, not here in the U.S. yet, but, you know, overseas, there were a significant number of hospitality industry closures, especially in China when this first broke out. So you'd imagine, you know, with the fear going on and the spread of it, there is that risk. But just the travel industry as a whole, people aren't traveling, right? So especially with the number of businesses in town that have overseas operations, you would expect that, well, you have a travel ban from Europe, right? I think Bear's a European company. So you're going to see just a decrease from them alone on any travel coming out of Europe and staying in what would have been the local hotels. So personal guess, I would say if it continues down the path that it is, a $200,000 20% decrease contingency is probably not enough, but it's still early, so hopefully things calm down. Everyone does well and things get restored back quickly, and it doesn't have an impact to the budget, but it's probably something you want to take a look at. I think what it might be, maybe about 3.5% of the total revenues.
And if it does come in lower, historically, other revenues we budget lower come in higher, so hopefully it will be an offset that...
Hopefully. There. So, I know I wasn't supposed to ask about the budget tonight, but appreciate it. Just wanted to bring it up as a concern related to coronavirus.
The state has a bizarre way of returning that to us, Silvio, isn't it? I mean, they do it in region. They don't count the amount of hotels we have. For some reason, they do it on a regional basis. Go ahead.
Yeah, they give us no detail behind it because of the...
Yeah, we're still trying to figure them out.
The disclosure laws that the hotels have, they're not allowed, they're not a public government entity like we are, so they don't have to disclose everything. So the state cannot tell us even which hotel contributed, what amount to the overall amount we get each month.
Strange.
All they do is tell us, here's your amount, and there's really no backup for it, except what hotels make it up, but that's the only information they give us.
Yeah, I know, having worked in the audit department at the company where I'm employed, the hotels will file occupancy taxes that go to the states, and it sounds like they're not allowed to just go disclose that specific information from those occupancy taxes, but that's where those figures would be derived from that.
Thank you, Doug. Floor remains open. No further comment. Motion to close?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, gentlemen. Ace?
I have one comment for tonight, and it's a,
What about Fred?
oh, Fred.
Oh, you still? He's got a normal spot on the
He's got his own spot locked in.
agenda now, I think, you know?
It's going to
Fred,
hurt
go ahead.
sponsorship. So, Mayor, just the update on affordable housing is as a release was made by the administration, as we've been trying to find a different overlay or renegotiate the overlay zones, and we have, in principle, come to what would be an agreement with the River Park site for some of the overlay that would have been on Parsippany Road to be on the River Park site, a very small portion as well on Airport Road. So we're working on that. We're getting the agreements in order. I met with Blaze today for a number of hours to go through it as we try to vet through this, which would mean we would bring back an amended settlement agreement between River Park and the Township, an amended settlement agreement with Fair Share Housing. The important thing about the Fair Share Housing settlement agreement is it would, if this all goes through, it would eliminate both the overlay zones on Parsippany Road. They would not be part of the third round housing plan or the settlement. It's almost unprecedented that given a settlement with Fair Share Housing, that they will agree to make this change. Part of their agreement was they felt that all along Hanover has been compliant in its settlement obligation, and the governing body worked very hard to come up with an alternative, and one that to some extent has some level of remoteness when it comes to River Park, as we'll find out, because currently part of the area on River Park that would be part of this revised settlement agreement is presently a pond. And it would be the very end of the River Park development. In other words, the units that would go on their River Park site would be at the conclusion after they build what we've already been in agreement with River Park to construct, which is the 1 and 2 bedroom units and the affordable units. This would be the very last phase. So given that we have not even gone through the application process and there's plenty of things that need to be done, the hope is that when it gets to these units, it would either be a very successful project and they'll get built and they'll fit in just fine, or if they don't feel that they can really take on that inventory, then maybe it won't happen. So that's right now where we're going as far as to make these changes, and over the next few months, we'll have, as I mentioned, an updated agreement with Fair Share Housing, an updated agreement with River Park, updated agreement with Airport Road. Airport Road will be approximately, it would give them the right to construct an additional 48 units on the site. The right, if that even happens, because it doesn't really seem at this point that that's something that it's very well suited for, but they have the right to include that if they go forward with any plans for development. So that's where we are right now, and we'll continue to work in that direction. The court has been very supportive now that there is some direction, and again, nothing's final until those agreements are approved. So as of right now, yes, those overlay zones, the township is contractually obligated to rezone, but we've put a stay, thanks to the cooperative effort of the court and the efforts of the township committee. We've put a stay so that we can get these amended agreements, and we have everybody on board from a standpoint informally committing to do this. So far so good as far as making that change. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Fred, appreciate it. I get the feeling that this is, Fair Share Housing portion is going to be an ongoing segment. I don't know where we're going to get to the end of it. Having said that, Committeeman Gallagher, I'm sorry, go ahead.
One comment tonight, and Gary, I'm glad you're here for this. when I moved here, 10 months into my being a resident of Hanover Township, we had a small fire at my house, and we needed help. I said back then, you don't know how great our first responders are until you need them. Unbelievable, second to nobody. Well, on Monday morning, February 24th, my daughter had to get rushed to the hospital. I can't tell you how wonderful the crew from Cedar Knolls was, and all our police department. You can't ask for better people doing a better job that are more caring. So my only comment for tonight is I'm grateful. I support you guys. I love what you do. And again, people don't realize how great you are until they need you. So thank you. Thank you to the whole crew. And my daughter's fine. Very, very scary couple minutes. Very, very scary trip to the hospital. But Gary, I can't say enough. And Hanover Township PD, you guys know I love you and support you. That's it. That's my comment. That's it.
Very nice. Nicely said, Ace. Very good. Brian?
Very good, thank you. So keeping in line with first responders, as you know, earlier this evening, we swore in a new officer, Officer Matthew Garrison. He replaces an officer that left the department recently to move to another department, closer to home and that sort of thing. So basically, we've brought our officer level, our police force level, up to the levels that it has been for the past couple of years, to 32 officers. Now that we've introduced the budget and people will be looking over it, a part of that budget, a part of the plan, if all goes well, is to hit our target of 34 officers on the department, which has been a goal of ours for quite a while now. So hopefully that does occur over the course of the year. So again, congratulations to Officer Garrison. I look forward to having him on the department with the rest of these guys and ladies. Sorry. Moving on to the fire districts, Hanover Township Fire District Number 2 had a reorganization meeting on this past Monday, actually, and they voted the officers in as follows. The chairman remains Ray Whitehouse. The vice chairman is Robert Cobain Jr. He was also sworn in that night. He's the newest member of the District 2 Fire Commission. The treasurer remains Randy Polo, and the secretary remains James Kitchell. On March 3rd, the Hanover Fire District 3 had their reorganization meeting, and so a few changes here. So the chairman has moved over to Robert O'Hare. Vice chair is now Robert Callis. The treasurer is Michael Dugan. He's the former chair, and the secretary is our own Thomas Quirk, and then the clerk is the newly elected Commissioner Michael Dugan Jr. So we're all squared away for the year with both fire districts as far as their organizations are concerned. Lastly, HSA was featured in an industry publication. This is called Water, Environment, and Technology, or WENT. And a part of it, in each one of these, when they put it out, is a facilities focus section. And this time, this February edition, our own HSA was featured. So they did a very nice job, did an article basically about the history, as well as mentioned the many, many awards that they've won and just the incredible job that they've done. And they took some great pictures as well, just of the facility and some of our guys at work. So congratulations to them again. As always, they're always doing a great job. And that's my report.
Very good. Thank you very much, Paul. Michael, Director of Recreation.
Let me get the doom and gloom out of the way first.
I think your report lately is going to get shorter and shorter.
Yeah, it is going to be a little short. We had a great senior meeting the other day, but unfortunately, future senior meetings will be postponed until further notice. So just keep that in mind. We also need to, although it probably wound up being canceled, the Hopping Down the Bunny Trail on March 28th has been canceled. So, moving on and looking ahead, we do have some good things coming up. Bee Meadow Pool, we're gearing up, getting ready for the summer. We're anxious to see our new slide and rock wall that we have putting in. They should be up and ready to go for the summertime. I've been assured of that. Yes. And they're looking good. I saw some plans on it. It's really looking sharp, and it's going to be some nice additions to the pool, some new amenities we have going on there, and also we do have a corporate rate now. So if you work in town, even though you're not a resident and you work in town, you can have a corporate rate, come meet your family at the pool, show up with a pizza later, and have your family hang out, and then you can catch up with them there. So we have a corporate, and we had several people comment on that already. So that's a nice new amenity Denise had come up with, thought about. That's working well. We also have some advertising going out, so keep your eyes open. And registration is open, so get it in. There is an early bird registration. Take advantage of that. It saves you a couple bucks. One other thing I want to point out, and I hope I don't step on John's toes, but I'm excited about it, is Phase 1 for the trail system is near completion. And it really looks sharp. I was out walking out the other day, as a couple other committeemen were too, and it really looks good. It goes on the north side of the ponds, kind of wraps around the pool. That's Phase 1. There's still 2 more phases coming, and hopefully they'll come soon. So that's all I have to report from you.
We look forward to working with you on those additional phases
Yes,
as well.
very enjoyable, yeah.
Very good. Should you comment on the parade at all?
It's moving ahead. We got a really good crew that we're working with. The parade is going on as scheduled. We see no reason to stop it. We have several of our chairs with us tonight. Mr. Kaiser is one part, Ace and Brian is another part, and Mayor Francioli is part of the third. So really moving along. Everybody's doing what has been asked of them, and so we're looking forward to a successful parade. Hopefully the weather will cooperate. Hopefully that'll be our only obstacle.
Hopefully this matter will be settled down enough for us to have an
I'm sure it
enjoyable
will.
parade that day. I hope that's the case. I
Sure
truly
will.
hope that's the
It's
case.
far enough off. We should
Yeah,
have no trouble.
yeah, keep our fingers crossed. Deputy Mayor, Farmosa.
Okay, spring is in the air, and engineering is getting a jump on the roads. They're preparing bid packages for roads, soon to be finalized, soon to be released. We really try to work hard to get a jump on the year so that we can complete our road goals during the period of time. This evening, we also, Township Committee approved some initiatives that engineering will lead with municipal signage on the campus, and to include a digital sign.
Hey.
That I know the individual to the right of me has been waiting a few days to see that happen.
A few days.
In addition, the rock wall at the pool, which will be a nice amenity for the pool. From an environmental standpoint, Hanover Township is submitting an award for Barclays for the environmental cleanup of the Whippany River. This is significant. The Barclays team pulled over 2.5 tons of debris out of the Whippany River, and we thank them for the initiative, and we're submitting an award, and hopefully they get recognized for that. The first Green Team Seminar, which we call the Lawn Care Series, was very well attended. There were 30 sign-ups for it at our library, and there were 28 attendees. So hats off to the Green Team. A little bit of forward planning. Shred Day will be on Saturday, May 9th. That's the day before Mom's Day, so help Mom get rid of some of those confidential files that have been sitting, clogging up file cabinets for many years. Bring them out, and that'll be disposed of in front of your eyes for free. The Planning Board has identified and submitted what they call elements for the Morris County Strategic Plan for initiatives, and we thank Mr. Branchow for working with the Planning Board on that submission. And lastly, on a more serious note, just beware of some scams that are going on right now related to the coronavirus. There are 2 scams specifically I want to bring to your attention. Number 1 is an email scam that comes from supposedly the CDC. Well, it's not the CDC. It's a hacker who's trying to get you to click on a link. The second scam is even more disturbing, and it's door knockers. People going into our neighborhoods, knocking on doors, saying they're from the CDC conducting a survey. Do not answer any door knocking from anybody within this township. Call immediately the Hanover Police Department if you encounter a situation like that.
No, true. I think that's going on in
Morris Township.
Morris Township is seeing that. Yeah, it's disturbing that some peoples are taking advantage of the situation the way they are. You know, there's something. Just a few things to add to what you've heard tonight. Craft Night is coming up again from our library, our Whippany Library, and that will be April the 18th, which is a Saturday. It's a craft day, I should really say, and Everyone seems to enjoy that. The community center will be filled with craft kiosks, and you certainly should take advantage of that on the 18th. The farm is accepting, the Stony Brook Farm and Garden is now accepting again for the up-and-coming year. Subscriptions for the year is $25 for a 4x16 garden there, and we invite you to take advantage of that. You can register for a garden, or you can learn more about it by contacting our Recreation Department. They'll give you all the information there, so that's where we are. Okay, if there's nothing further from the committee at this time, I'll accept the motion for adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, adjourned. Very good, thank you, gentlemen. Very good.
Yes, sir.